Hey, this is Mikey, and I've got another tutorial. This is not really an After Effects tutorial, but it has something to do with After Effects. What I want to show you is how I go about creating a character that you can then animate in After Effects. So I'm going to be using a sketch pad, I'm going to be using my Wacom tablet, and Photoshop. It's a technique I like to call the Polished Turd. And the reason why I call it that is because I'm really not that great of a drawer. And so what I do is I just take my crappy drawings and I polish them up in Photoshop and make them look nice. And it's kind of a fun style because, again, it's crappy drawings that end up looking nice. So I've got right here, you can see this. This is my iPhone. It's going to be filming my sketch pad, and then I'll take it into Photoshop from there. Okay, so here's my sketch pad. Now, I really don't know what I'm going to be drawing yet, but it doesn't matter because just draw whatever you want, whatever you can. So let's just start with, a head. And I like to make little fat guys and give them some big eyes, a nose. Maybe he's really fat, right? And there's his mouth right there. Let's give him a little bit of hair. Maybe he's going bald. And I kind of messed up, so it doesn't matter. Give him a chin. Okay, maybe some big cheeks. So there's my guy's face. I want him to be almost maybe hunchbacky. So let's draw a body. And long bendy arms. And I'm not really spending a lot of time on this because, again, it's just not that great of a drawing. And then let's go in and give him some legs. Maybe he's got some shorts on. And he's got these skinny, kind of knobby legs. With some ugly socks. See, you can see like this leg's thicker than that leg, which is totally fine because it kind of adds to the charm of these crappy drawings. Let's give him a striped shirt. Let's give him 2 stripes. Some pockets. So there we have this guy. And so that's really all there is to it. The next step is to snap a photo. And I'm going to use this, actually the same camera, this one right here, that I'm using to record this with. And then I'll take the photo, and next you'll see me in Photoshop, and we'll trace over this photo and turn it into something that looks a little bit better than this. Okay, so here I am in Photoshop, and I am going to be switching over to my Wacom tablet. Just makes this a little bit easier for me. You don't have to use it. If you're used to using a mouse, then go ahead and use a mouse. So what we're going to do is we're going to have several layers. We're going to have an ink layer, a color layer, a shadow, and a highlight layer. And so what we're going to do is we need to go down, click new layer, and then let's grab our paintbrush tool, and of course make that a lot smaller, a lot harder as well. About like that. We want black. Zoom in and we'll just do a little piece at a time. Let's start with the head. And you want all this to be on its own layer. The thing I like about the Wacom tablet is it's pressure sensitive, so I can have different amounts and different thicknesses in my pen stroke. You don't have to be exactly where it is, just a guide. Like for instance, I want this chin over here now. And let's give some hair. And you can see I'm not following the lines exactly. Some ears. Let's continue on with the rest of the face. Now that last one, I don't quite like that line, so I can undo and go back and make it a little smoother. I like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go across the rest of the body, and I'm just going to speed this up. I'm going to outline the rest of this and ink the rest of this on the ink layer. And then we'll come back and we'll do some coloring. Okay, so I've got the whole thing outlined out. And you can, and when we do that, we want to come in and make sure that everything is connected where it should be, like right there. This doesn't need to be connected because that just kind of lines in his pants. Right there. So once you turn off the background layer, you can kind of see this stuff a little bit better. Okay. Looking pretty good. I want to connect this right here. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to do a color layer. So make sure we go in and name this ink. And the color layer needs to be below the ink layer. Let's just go ahead and make all of our layers now. Color, shadow, and then highlight. Okay, so then the order of operations are going to be color, shadow, highlight, ink. So let's go into the color layer. And I don't need to use the Wacom tablet anymore. I'm done with all the sketching part. And sometimes it's hard to reach down in the corners when you're using that. So I'm going to switch back over to my mouse. And then what I'm going to use is the magic wand. And I'm going to just select my ink layer. Magic wand, say the face. And then let's go up to select, modify, expand, and let's go 2 pixels. And what you want is you want it to go just beyond where the black is. Now what we're going to do is go down to the color layer while that's still selected, and let's start coloring this. So let's just find a skin tone. And it can be cartoony because it's cartoon. Bring the size up. And since I've got that selected, it's only going to color where I want it to. Now we need to do the same thing with the arms, because it's the same, same skin. Select both of those and the legs too. And then let's go in and select, modify, expand, make sure we switch down to our color layer. Okay, Command D will deselect what you've selected. So there's all the skin right there. And we turn off the ink layer and it's starting to look really kind of crazy. So let's now color the shirt and the hair and the eyeballs. With the eyeballs, we just want to make that all white. And it looks like my selection was a little bit inside right there. That's fine. I'm going to just do this one by hand. Make sure I'm on the color layer. Okay, let's give him some hair. Okay, now let's start working on the clothes. We've got them colored, we've got the ink. Now let's add some shadows and highlights. And so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to change my color to kind of a purpley color. My brush to very soft. About yay big. And then opacity down to about 20%. Flow down to about 20%. And let's see how this looks. And we're going to put this onto its own layer. And what I want to do is I want to start adding shadows in here. And you just have to kind of think about where the light is falling. So let's start down with his shoes. And you probably got a highlight right here. So let's maybe the toe. And what I want to do now actually is I want to create a an outline. So I'm going to select the ink, outline the whole body, and right there. So just the outside, and then I'm going to hit Command-Shift-I to inverse. And now only the body is selected. So then my highlights and shadows won't go outside of the lines. Let's go back to the shadows. And since I have it on a smaller opacity, on 20%, then it's not going to, I can start layering on these colors. And each time I layer it on, it's going to get a little bit darker. So with the socks, let's kind of do this kind of a thing right underneath the lines. And you see how subtle these shadows are. And it looks like I've got some stuff here. I'll need to come in and fix that in the color layer later on. That shadow looks really good on the legs. I think I'll have to go in and add some hairs to these legs. And I'm just kind of reinforcing all of the inked lines. And there's going to be a lot of shadow up here. Right on the side of the nose. Under the arms. Let's take a look at this. And you can see already how it's starting to add just a little bit of shape and dimension. Under the chin on the shirt. All right, now let's add a highlight layer. And with the highlight layer, what I'm going to do As this come into, instead of normal, we're going to go in and screen this on. And let's get maybe kind of a yellowy white. And we want the same settings. Maybe a little bit more flow. A little bit more opacity. Start back down on the shoes. And you can see just adding a little bit of shine to the front. So anything you highlight is going to want to stick out. It's going to be higher. The shadows push things away. So on top of these knee bumps, knuckles, tops of the arms, front of the nose, these cheeks, maybe a little bit of highlights in the ears. And I'm really loving the way this guy looks. So from this point, I'm going to maybe add just a little bit more stuff. I need to come into the color layer and fix these jeans. We can add texture to this. But let's first fix this. Make sure my opacity and flow is all the way up. Okay. So I want to add another layer right above highlight. Let's call this texture. And this is going to be little itty bitty things. So let's come in, make this a lot harder, really small in size. And we want this to be black. And I'm going to switch back to my Wacom tablet. So this is almost kind of a little shading going on. Maybe kind of some stitching on the shirt. Maybe he's got a little bit of arm hair going on. Some leg hairs. Maybe a little bit more. Finer looking eyebrows. And a little bit of fuzz on his head. And I think that's about how I want to do it. Maybe some little threads in the socks. Okay, so we have here a nice little guy, and again, this method, I call it the Polished Turd. Let's add a background to this. Okay, so what do you think? Is this a good method? It's definitely an easy method if you're not that great at art. You can draw up just a simple character. And then when you add it's really once you add in all the shading and the highlights that really makes this thing come to life. And then from here, we can take this and split it up into all the different layers with the arms and legs, and we can use that to animate something in After Effects. Or, maybe we just need a little character and he's waving. So thank you so much for watching. I know this has been a bit of a different tutorial. Let me know what you think. Do you want to see more tutorials that are not just After Effects based? I've been doing some stuff with Premiere as well every now and then. So if there's anything else that you're thinking, yeah, it might be nice to see some of that, maybe some lighting tutorials or some video production tutorials. So those are some other things that I've been throwing around the idea of doing. So let me know what you think. And if you decide to use this method to draw something, I definitely want to see it. So make sure you post it so we can all see it, because it's really kind of a fun method. And so thank you, and we'll see you next time.